Why are people drawn to negativity? Why does negativity get clicks? Why is it so powerful? Why is the comment section so toxic? Today I want to explore all of these questions and more. First of all, it's important to clarify that not all negativity is bad. What I mean by this is some things do deserve a negative judgment. As a community, we should call out things that deserve to be called out. And let's be real, if everything was just fake happiness and sunshine and lollipops all the time, then not only would that be boring, it would be unrelatable. So I'm not saying there isn't a time and place for it. Criticism and honesty will always be important, especially in today's YouTube climate. With that being said though, there's no question that as human beings, we are naturally more drawn to negativity than positivity. Negativity generally tends to attract more attention and discussion. This is a fact of life, and it's observable pretty much everywhere you go, including here on YouTube. But why though? Well, before we can discuss social media's role in this, first we need to understand why we are drawn to negativity. Negative information typically involves more thinking. There are often more subtleties that need to be worked out and a greater need for analysis. For example, let's look at the role positive feedback plays in art. Then let's look at the role of negative feedback. Positive feedback often requires fewer details and less elaboration, even if it's just in the form of a single comment saying, "Hey, that's pretty good." It's still valuable information to the artist because it lets them know that they're on the right track and what they're doing is good. The same cannot be said about negative feedback. Saying, "Hey, this is pretty bad," without any explanation or reasoning has no value because it provides the artist with absolutely no useful information regarding what the artist may have done wrong, and it provides no valuable information regarding how they can improve. Of course, vague positive feedback also invites questions. For instance, saying somebody or something is cool provides no meaningful insight. Like, what does that even mean, dude? Cool is what you say to someone to get them to stop texting you. It's not meant to be a meaningful descriptor of anything. However, as unhelpful as vague positive feedback can be, vague negative feedback tends to stir up way more emotions and invite far more questions, such as, are they right? Why would they say this? Who are they to say this? Am I dumb? Am I stupid? This is why negative comments tend to resonate with people far more than positive comments, and this is also why negativity gets more airtime, both literally and in our own heads, which love to replay negative experiences and make sure we never forget. Did you ever mess something up once and now you can't stop thinking about it? Sure, you might have gotten many other things right, but for the most part, it's hard to resist the allure and onset of these bad thoughts. We tend to think about the details and nuances of the situation more because we all want to prevent negative things from happening in the future. And in a way, because these events are outliers, they stand out in our minds. As humans, we're pattern recognition machines, so if we detect a threat, we pay attention to it. After all, you have to be able to detect the bad things to get rid of them, so we naturally gravitate toward these topics more. In fact, the processing of positive and negative information even takes place in different hemispheres of the brain. The right hemisphere responds to negative emotions, while the left hemisphere responds to positive emotions. As an article from the Library of Congress states, damage to the left side of the brain, which leaves the right side in control, was more often associated with a negative mood, including symptoms of uncontrollable crying and other indicators frequently associated with depression. Damage to the right side of the brain when the left was spared was reported to be associated with a very different, more positive constellation of mood reactions. So we know why we focus on negativity more, but what does social media have to do with anything? Look, we all know somebody who bemoans the negative effects of social media. Whether it takes the form of melodramatic YouTube videos or your Uncle Joe yelling, "These whippersnappers need to get off their phones." It's not an uncommon opinion to hold. It's easy to see why these takes are derided and seen as out of touch and failing to change with the times, but although social media has had positive effects on the world, there's a sobering truth to some of the criticism. Social media and the internet in general has made it much easier to spread hatred and toxicity. People love to have their worldviews confirmed, and it's now easier than ever to find and share content that will confirm the opinions they already hold. In addition to the spread of negative content, social media has also had a particularly negative effect on social interactions. When you're talking to a friend face to face, you feel their presence. You notice the subtle nuances in their facial expressions and body language. You gauge how they respond to what you're saying, more or less. Basically, you enjoy immediate feedback in these face-to-face interactions. You don't get this on social media. That's why it's so much easier to express anger and vitriol online. It's harder to empathize with others on a digital platform than during a face-to-face interaction. A former Facebook executive has even discussed how Facebook has had a negative effect on the world.
The short-term dopamine-driven feedback loops that we have created are destroying how society works. No civil discourse, no cooperation, misinformation, mistruth, and it's not an American problem. This is not about Russian ads. This is a global problem. bad actors can now manipulate large swaths of people to do anything you want. It's a really, really bad state of affairs. And we compound the problem.
So how do we move forward in a landscape saturated with negativity, where social interaction as we know it has been warped? Well, it has to start at an individual level. It always helps to keep things in perspective. It's important to remember that there's no lack of good people doing good things in the world. There's no shortage of uplifting news if you simply seek it. So the next time you see a negative headline, remember how it benefits the person who wrote it. It's profitable to keep people sad and scared, and that's not new. You may not be able to change every negative circumstance, but you can change how you react. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.